You are sleeping. It is dawn. The silence is so absolute that it seems solid. Then you listen. It's not footsteps. It's not voices. It's the earth. The ground is trembling. You put your ear to the floor and discover the truth. It's not an earthquake. It's men digging. Hundreds of men digging a tunnel right beneath you. And they are going to blow you up along with the wall that protects you. This is not a nightmare. This was the dawn of July 14, 1683, within the walls of Vienna. Islam was knocking at the door. And it wasn't just any knock. It was the last knock. In 1683, the Ottoman Empire was the greatest war machine in the world. Since 1453, when they destroyed Constantinople, they had not stopped. Hungary fell, Serbia fell, Croatia bled. Every spring, the Ottoman armies rose like a tide from the south, planting mosques where crosses once stood. The rest of Europe watched. France, busy weakening the Germans. England, with its own crises. And the Holy Roman Empire, fractured and disorganized. Vienna was the capital of this fragile empire, and it was also the last barrier before the plains of Germany. If Vienna fell, the Ottomans would march north the following spring. No army would be able to stop them. The man who commanded this force was Kara Mustafa, Grand Vizier of Sultan Mehmed IV. He didn't want Vienna out of necessity. He wanted it for personal glory. He wanted to enter the city mounted on a white horse, while the church bells were replaced by the muezzin's call. In early July 1683, 150,000 Ottoman men surrounded Vienna. They carried 300 cannons, tons of gunpowder, and a chain of slaves that stretched for kilometers. Inside the walls, only 15,000 people were able to fight. Most were merchants, students, and old soldiers. Outside, 150,000. Inside, 15,000. The math was brutal. The siege officially began on July 14th. The Ottomans did not attempt an immediate frontal assault. Instead of blood, they chose sweat. They dug trenches. Each night, they advanced a few meters. Each morning, the defenders awoke with the despair of seeing the enemy closer. But the worst was not on the surface. It was below. The Ottomans had the lagimci, the tunnel men. They dug underground galleries towards the walls, filled the ends with gunpowder, and detonated everything. The wall came down like a house of cards. And Vienna had no countermeasures. Or it did, but it came from the most unexpected place, the bakers. The bakers of Vienna worked during the night. It was the only time the ovens could be lit without attracting cannon fire. And because they worked in the silence of the early morning, they were the first to notice something strange. The bakery floor vibrated. It wasn't the oven shaking, it was a deep tremor coming from below.
The bakers warned the military engineers. No one believed them, but the tremor continued. The engineers went down into the cellars, pressed their ears against the walls, and heard the unmistakable sound of shovels cutting through the earth. The Ottomans were digging tunnels. Then an underground war began. The defenders dug counter-tunnels. They met with the Ottoman sappers in the dark and fought with knives and shovels. The air down there was unbreathable. The earth fell on their shoulders. But the bakers continued to serve as night sentinels, lying on the cold bakery floors, feeling the vibrations. Each tunnel discovered was a life saved. Between July and September, the defenders of Vienna discovered and detonated more than 80 Ottoman tunnels. Without the bakers, the siege would have ended in August. With the bakers, Vienna held out until September. And September was the month of change. Inside the city, hunger had already killed the horses, then the dogs, then the cats. Rats were sold as a delicacy. Churches became hospitals of blood and feces. On September 6th, the outer wall fell. The end seemed a matter of days. It was at that moment that something Kara Mustafa considered impossible happened. The King of Poland, John III Sobieski, appeared on the horizon. Sobieski was no ordinary king. He was 54 years old, pot-bellied, mustachioed, and hated the Ottomans with a passion bordering on the poetic. He had fought against them decades before. He knew how they thought, how they moved, how they retreated, and he knew that if Vienna fell, Poland would be next. Sobieski gathered 30,000 men, among them a unit that terrorized Europe, the Winged Hussars. Each hussar rode a giant horse, used a lance over 5 meters long, and carried on their backs a structure of wood and eagle feathers that produced a sharp, terrifying sound when the horse galloped. The sound of the wings broke the enemy formation because the Ottoman horses, frightened, refused to advance. Sobieski marched south with unusual speed. His men marched at night. They rested only 4 hours a day. On September 11th, they reached the hills overlooking the city. From the heights, Sobieski saw the Ottoman camp spread around the smoking walls. He saw the Grand Vizier's tents, the cannons, the rows of janissaries. And he uttered a phrase that went down in history. "It is not a man, it is God himself who delivers the infidel into our hands." That night, the defenders of Vienna saw torches lighting up on the hills. They didn't know if they were reinforcements or a new Ottoman army. They prayed. Dawn broke on September 12, 1683. Kara Mustafa knew Sobieski was there. His scouts had warned him, but he ignored them. Pride, exhaustion, underestimation. He ordered the final attack against Vienna. He wanted to enter the city before the Poles came down from the hills. 60,000 Ottomans advanced. The janissaries scaled the walls with a courage bordering on madness. They were repelled. They retreated. At 4 in the afternoon, the main wall gave way. The janissaries stormed in. For a moment, Vienna was terrified. And it was at that exact instant that Sobieski gave the order. 3,000 winged hussars descended Mount Kahlenberg. Not in a common charge, they descended like an avalanche of iron, feathers, and sound. The wings fluttered in the wind, producing a noise the Ottomans had never heard. The 5-meter spears pierced everything in front of them. The armored horses crushed the infantry. The Ottoman line broke in 3 places at once. It wasn't a battle, it was a collapse. Kara Mustafa tried to regroup his janissaries, but they were already running. He tried to save his personal tent where he kept the Prophet's banner, but the hussars were already 200 meters away from him. Kara Mustafa mounted his horse and fled, without shoes, without a turban, without dignity. The Ottoman soldiers abandoned everything: cannons, gunpowder, provisions, women, children. The entire camp was left in the hands of the Christians. Vienna had survived. The Battle of Vienna was a turning point in world history. The Ottoman Empire never again regained the ability to threaten Western Europe. In the following years, Christian armies pushed the border south, reconquering Hungary, Croatia, and part of the Balkans. The Islamic tide, which had risen for more than 200 years, finally receded, and it never returned with the same force. But the silent heroes of this story are not in the monuments of chivalry. They are not in the statues of Sobieski. They are in the bakeries. The bakers of Vienna, those men covered in flour who spent nights listening to the ground shake, were honored in a unique way. They created a crescent-shaped bread, symbolically biting into the symbol of the Ottoman Empire. This bread was called kipferl. Later, an Austrian princess took the recipe to France, and the bread gained the name we know today, croissant. Every time you bite into a croissant, you are repeating a gesture from 1683. You are biting into the crescent. You are celebrating a resistance that lasted 2 months, sustained by hunger, gunpowder, and sleepless bakers. Islam knocked on Europe's doors in 1683. It was the last knock. The doors did not open. The Ottoman drums grew further and further away, until one day they simply stopped. Europe took a deep breath, and he never forgot what happened on the walls of Vienna.